Hey, what's up everybody? Steve Schwartz here from LSAT Unplugged. Today in this video, I'm going to share with you the strategies for each section of the LSAT that will help you achieve a 170 plus score on LSAT test day. Before I get into it, I wanted to let you know that while some other prep companies are disregarding logic games in advance of their removal after the June 2024 LSAT, I'll still be covering them both here on YouTube and in my LSAT prep courses until after the June 2024 LSAT. So in this video, I'll walk through games, reasoning, and reading comp. If you're aiming for an LSAT test date after June 2024, of course, you can disregard the logic games portion of this video. I'll keep it brief, just a few minutes on each section. Let's dive in. So for logic games, the strategies you want to use are to make as many inferences up front as possible. You want to maximize your reuse of previous hypothetical scenarios, and you want to approach the questions out of order. Maximizing your inferences up front means you take a moment to pause and slow down after you make your main diagram and all the rules to see if you can make any connections between the different rules in the game. Typically, if you see the same variable appearing in multiple rules, that is an indication that you can likely yield some kind of inference by considering those rules at the same time. Reusing your previous hypothetical scenarios means that after you draw any diagram for a local if question, you save that on your scratch paper to the side and consider it when solving any general global questions in the game. So for example, if they're asking you which one of the following could be true, and if you've seen it occur previously in one of your other diagrams for a different question, then you know, of course, that it could be true. You have your proof. And so you can save time, pick that answer choice and move on without having to draw anything new. By the way, your correct answer to the orientation question of the game is also an example of a valid scenario that you could use to help you potentially solve other questions later in the game. This is one reason to approach questions out of order. You do your orientation question first, that's your warm-up gimme question, then you do all your local if questions, which may prompt you to draw a new hypothetical scenario, a new local diagram, and then finally you do your general global questions, at which point you can then benefit from all the other work you did earlier in the game to help you solve that general global question. By the way, as a bonus here, of course, you last will have your rule substitution questions, which may seem hard because they appear somewhat infrequently on the LSAT, but in fact, they appear quite consistently, having shown up on nearly every single prep test since exam 57. So if you want to get better at these, if these are giving you trouble, just drill them by doing the main diagram for that game, make all your inferences, then do only the rule sub question associated with that game. And by drilling them in this fashion, you'll be better able to see the patterns in terms of how to approach them. Now, on to logical reasoning. For logical reasoning, a lot of students don't realize that the questions are presented in a general order of difficulty. What this means is you want to go faster on the easier questions to build up a time bank that you can then apply to the tougher questions later in the section. If you're aiming for a 160 plus score, which I recommend that you do, aim to complete the first 10 questions in roughly 10 to 12 minutes, build up a time bank that you can then apply to the tougher questions later in the section that truly need it. The toughest questions would typically be 15 through 22 or so in the section. This is where I would strongly consider flagging even 3 or 4 questions. Me personally, I'll flag 3 to 4 questions, flag them, skip them, come back to them later so I don't get bogged down or stuck in quicksand on the questions that are the toughest when, of course, everything is worth the same. This is another reason you want to know your question types. Of course, you want to actually know how to approach the roughly 15 types of logical reasoning questions, but you also want to know which question types give you the most trouble. It might be parallel reasoning questions, it might be method of reasoning, it might be abstract questions on philosophy or morality or hard science. If you're a typical pre-law like I was, majoring in political science, the hard sciences may give you trouble, totally fine. Flag them, skip them, come back to them at the end. Don't get stuck wasting time minute after minute when it's just not clicking for you, since of course everything is worth the same. Now for reading comprehension, I find that far too many students get bogged down or stuck on the passage text when, of course, you need to save enough time for the questions as well. I recommend spending max 2.5 to 3 minutes on your initial read of the passage, assuming that you have standard timing accommodations on the LSAT of 35 minutes, 2.5, 3 minutes max, move on to the questions, walking away from the passage with simply what is the main idea, what is the primary purpose, what is the author's opinion, note that and have that be it. Don't get bogged down highlighting or underlining, since LSAC's tool for that is quite glitchy, both on LawHub and on test day. Just trust in your scratch paper, keeping it minimal, knowing you can always go back to the passage text when you need to attempt any local detail-oriented questions, or of course the more abstract inferential questions that require a bit more reading between the lines. Just like for logic games, approach questions in reading count out of order as well, doing general global questions like main idea, primary purpose first, then the local detail-oriented questions, and finally those tougher, more inferential questions that require a bit more reading between the lines. Anyway, folks, that's all for now. I hope you found this video helpful. If you'd like my help achieving a 170 plus on the LSAT, please check out the links below this video to find out more and to book a call with me and my team. We'd love to help you out. We offer live online classes via Zoom, on-demand video courses, small group coaching, and one-on-one coaching. And if you found this video helpful, please do me a favor and share it with someone who needs to see it. Maybe you know someone else aiming for a top score on the LSAT in the next 3 to 6 months. This video could make a major difference for them in achieving that breakthrough. In the meantime, folks, I wish you all the best and take care.